Hello, Jamie back with my Let's Start Stamping series, episode 8, I do believe. So last week we did, let's find it, we did this one. And so we're using the same sketch today. I don't know if we're probably going to use one of the bottom ones. I haven't really decided where we're going with it yet, but this is kind of where, where we're headed with that sketch again today. I did have a little bit of time, and so I whipped up a couple of other ones. This one uses the zigs yet, I think. Yes, this one is still with the zigs. So similar layout. I ended up doing this one down here. I just moved it over a little bit. I liked the offset of it. And then I added in some die cut holographic hearts to just kind of tie it together with that holographic strip that I threw in the background there for my background. And then for this one I flipped it so it's the vertical. Sorry, I had to think about it. Stripped it so it's vertical, put in, cut those apart and put them down the center for this, or down the side for the strip. And then I did mount this one onto some blue. Put my focal image on there, added a little "You Got Mail" sentiment down here. So it's very much kind of like the original, right? So it's kind of like this. It's just flipped. So if you want to look at it that way, you could definitely do it this way with your image going that way taller. I did add a little bit of sequin, their flat back sequences on them, just to kind of draw your eye in a little bit further over, because I was offset. When I added these, I didn't plan ahead for how big my main focal image is. I probably would have tipped them over just a little bit, but it really worked well with that sentiment on the bottom there. So I like how it turned out ultimately. I did do some ripping on the background piece here, so nothing really special needed. I did it in my cutter. I think we will do that today, just so I can show you how I did it. And that way you get some really straight lines instead of ripping. Usually, there's different ways to do it, but this is probably the straightest way to get that rip. And I ripped it towards me when I was doing it, so then you get that white look. Otherwise, you want to flip it over so you're not looking at your pattern, and rip it up, and then you won't get that white on the background or on your ripped side. So if that's, we'll do that today. I think that's a good one to throw in there because it's a nice technique. You don't need anything added to do it, and a regular ruler you can do that with. So let's get started. So I kind of planned a little bit ahead today. I know I've been kind of slacking lately on that one. So I picked up the Monkeying Around stamp set from MFT. It was on a super clearance, but I'm thinking this one is what we're going to do today. So this one is actually going to have a sentiment on that banner, and so we'll see how that one goes. I picked out a couple of paper pads. I think I've settled on using the fruit salad one from Lawn Fawn, but this one, Party Time from Doodlebug, had some monkeys in there, which would work, as well as like the party stuff. So those would be, you could definitely pull some colors and some things from that one. There's the Happy Birthday sentiment cupcakes, all of those things. But yes, the little monkeys was kind of why I pulled it, because I thought, oh, that would be cute to use that one with any of those images on there. But the little party hat monkey would go really cute with that as some pattern background paper. So I did pull that one out. The other one that I had pulled out was the Animal Safari one. I was kind of looking at this pattern here. I thought would work well with the monkeys as well. So I also am going to use my Ohuhus today. I remembered to pull from my Ohuhu 60 color set and the 36 skin tones in the Oahu line. So if you are looking at markers, I'm thinking we're going to go with that E644, E3, am I on screen? E367 and E294 for our brown blend. I don't know if I will use all of them per se, but that's kind of the colors that I went with. I don't know if this one is on here. I pulled 183, but I don't know if 183 is in my wheelhouse here. So let me look. It's not, so I'll pull out a different one. I just wanted a pink one that was going to kind of work for tongue, maybe cheeks. So I'll probably pull 192, R192. Let's grab that one before I get too far in here. R192, R195 would work. I had pulled natural lipstick, which is E183, but any of those would really work. I was just kind of grabbing what was in front of me. So these are on my blog. They're on that Ohuhu color page tab. So if you are interested in those, they're there for you. So those are just that first 60 set and then the 36 skin tones. So let's get started. I think I have everything ready to roll. No, I don't, but we'll pretend I do. Okay. So I'm bringing in that the Strathmore Bristol Smooth paper again. Strathmore is probably your most versatile paper to use for all of your different types of coloring mediums. It's not the perfect one for alcohol markers, but it works very well. And if you're new to alcohol markers, it's probably the one that you want to try as opposed to not doing anything, you know, just doing regular paper. This one is going to give you a little bit better of color blending than some of the other ones out there. I prefer Express It cardstock. It's the one that I learned on when I was Copic coloring, and so it's the one that I tend to use. The other one I used last week, I think, was Distress Heavy Stock. I don't like it for my liquid mediums anymore, but it does work okay for the alcohol ink coloring. So I just want to kind of, I'm just measuring this out here so I kind of have an idea. I think I can get away with a 2-inch wide strip. So, and I'm bringing in my guillotine instead of my other one just because this one is smaller and it fits on my screen better for you. So let's cut this down. So I'm going to cut this one down right to size. I'm not actually going to cut my images out today. I am going to leave them on a rectangle. This is how I started when I started card making. I would cut my rectangle down to size and I would stamp my image on top. So don't feel like you always have to fussy cut an image or cut it out. That's not how, you know, it's not how I started for the most part. I started doing it this way. And then, you know, as granted, back then they didn't have all of the coordinating die cuts. They didn't have things like the Brother Scan and Cut and all of those things that make life a little bit easier. I, you know, wasn't a huge fussy cutter, and so this is what I did. It was, to me, when I started, I've been doing scrapbooking because I'm working on my son's graduation stuff, and so I've been scrapbooking lately, and I'm like, this is why I went to card making, because scrapbooking took me forever. I'm not gonna lie. I'm bringing in Lawn Fawn Fundamentals. Wow. Alcohol friendly marker ink. There's multiple ones out there. This is the one that I like. This one or the Hero Arts one, but this is usually my go-to. So this is a new stamp, and so for new stamps, a lot of times you can condition them, rub your fingers over them if you're not getting a clear impression, especially if you're going to use a stamping block and not a stamping platform. You'll get a good impression a little bit faster. But the other thing is just stamp it up and stamp it on some scratch paper, and that'll help condition it as well. But usually a double stamp on a stamp point form works fine. Some people say to, you know, take a red rubber eraser and go over it that way. I don't know. It's just faster for me to do a double stamp, I guess. I don't know. I just don't think about it, to be honest. So I will set this one off to the side. So there we have our image. Oh, let me grab my chair. Alright, I'm going to zoom in here and hope that I'm not too far. There we go. I'm also going to set up a little playpen for me. So I try to remember to keep it inside the playpen, and then I might do okay. Possibly. I should have really stamped the Go Bananas in there first. Maybe. I'm not going to. We're gonna do it this way, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so I think I'm starting with, I've took out the 3. So that E644 is a really dark color. The 697 is kind of your mid-tone, and then that E294 is your lighter tone. Usually I color with 3 markers when I do larger images. For this one, because we're just starting with the coloring, I'm probably just going to try to stick to, I might do 2 for the darker tones, and then I'm just going to stick to that lighter one for the face, the tummy, maybe the bottom of the foot, which doesn't make sense, but I think monkey's bottom of their feet, whatever, is a little bit on the lighter side. Don't mind me. I would say it's Monday, but it's not. It's Tuesday. It's been a week already. Alrighty. So I just like to lay in where maybe I want it to be a little bit darker, kind of making that roundness come through. This one's going to be highlighted here. I'm trying to make the highlight to be on their faces or more towards the center because I want to draw the eye into the banner. So once that one, the first layer is dry, I'm going to go over it with a second layer. Now usually you want to work wet on wet, but when you're working with the same tone marker or the same exact marker and you want to get a deeper tone with it, it's sometimes better to let it dry first. And I should have probably done a shadow underneath his arm here, but here we go. Because you see, and really this is kind of how you can see. So you see I get a darker tone here because that one was dry already, and then the tone that I had added underneath his arm kind of just disappeared when I went over it again. And so if you're looking, and you can go back over it again once it's kind of dry, and you'll get that tone effect too. So you could do it all with, and I think that's the way you were supposed to start when you learned. Like you were supposed to go and you were supposed to start with your whole, your whole image one color with your lightest tone, and then you came back in with your darkest and worked back to your lightest. I just felt it was way too many layers for me, and I'm more about coloring quickly. I think you can get a really good look and still color, fairly quickly. But there are definitely different ideas and tutorials out there if you want to up your coloring game. I like to spend time coloring, but sometimes I just like to get a card made. It's kind of one of those, what part of the process do you enjoy the most? And for me, a lot of times coloring is just one step to get to my favorite part, which is assembly. Of course, I usually like to do way more of the interactive stuff and not as much, so to me that coloring aspect tends to be a little bit, I don't know, I think I'm going to do his foot a little bit, well, just because it's right next to that and that's the only bottom foot, so I think I'm going to do that one darker. Anyways, just me explaining myself here. There we go, and his face. And so by coming in and kind of putting in that drop shadow on the outside here, I'm going to do a little under his chin. And then I do kind of add in, because obviously I think their cheeks, are going to be puffier. And so just kind of adding that little line there is maybe going to help you see a little bit more dimension to it and make it a little less two-dimensional and a little bit more three-dimensional. Not that it totally works, but I think it gives it a little bit of shape. So once it's dry, I'm going to come back in. And I try to work fairly quickly, especially where I don't color the whole image right away. I want to make sure that I'm getting wet on wet so it blends that on that seam if I want it to blend on that seam. And you can see where the darker tone stayed here and there. And once it dries, it'll actually dry a little bit. I think it dries down a little bit, and so you might get a little more color variation. So if it didn't look bright right away, just give it a little bit, let it sit, and come back to it. You can always do a second layer on top, and you'll get a richer, deeper color. So I haven't colored these before, so usually the first coloring is not always my best coloring. Because, well, It's exactly that. It's my first coloring. So I haven't figured out, I don't always know exactly where my shadows should go, or where maybe I want my darker tones to be. I think we're good there. I don't know if I want to go that dark for the whole thing. So I think I am going to bring in that second one, which is that E367. And it is kind of a step up. So this one might end up needing a second layer just to kind of get it a little bit more, whoops, blended. And of course I went out of the line. Let me grab. So I'm going to try to push that color deeper into the paper so you don't see it as boldly on top there. It is going to bleed in, you can see. I guess, I don't know if you can see it on camera. I can see it from my angle. It is going to bleed in, so I'll just hit it again. It's probably best to wait for it to dry all the way down, because then you don't risk adding more liquid to it and spreading out more. I hope that made sense. I don't know if it did. It made sense in my head. Speaking of spreading out, so since we're coloring, and it's, you know, it's coloring, so adding in my darker tones, or where I want my shadows to kind of land, where I think I would have more natural shadows coming in. I think that one I'm going to do all shadow there, because I need to do his foot. I think I'm going to do that one with the mid-tone here. Okay, so coming in there, I think I'm just going to do right there, and then the rest will be the lighter tone. So back to my story time. So on Sunday, which was Father's Day, we, you know, because my birthday was Saturday, and we had plans for, you know, grad parties and stuff, so we didn't really go out. So Sunday was kind of just my hangout day. I worked on scrapbooking for my youngest, and then my oldest one was home, and the youngest and his father were gone. And so I asked the oldest to empty the dishwasher. So he emptied, because I was like, well, just empty the dishwasher so I can, you know, run in there and just fill it and start it quick. Not too big of a deal. And so he filled it. Well, he emptied it. And then all of a sudden I heard it running, and I'm like, oh, sweet. He like filled the dishwasher and started it for me. Score. So I didn't go in the kitchen until later, like when I was ready to go to the farm later. And I walk in and my sock gets soaked. And I'm like, what in the world? And there are bubbles all over my kitchen floor. Like everywhere there are bubbles. And I'm like, so he put Dawn dish soap, like the platinum stuff, in the dishwasher instead of dishwasher soap, which, you know, it's probably not all his fault, because his mother might have, I have power wash on the top of the, I probably have like 2 or 3 different bottles of dish soap underneath the cupboard, so it wasn't like, you know, glaringly obvious. I don't use the pouches or the packs, and so I use liquid. And so he just, and I don't use Cascade. I have special stuff because of all my allergies. And so he had used the Dawn power wash, or not power wash, the Dawn dish soap, Dawn Platinum, in the dish. I could smell it. I could smell that it was Dawn Platinum. It was funny. But yeah, so there was suds everywhere, and so my kitchen floor got scrubbed. I mean, he did the dishes, and he pre-soaked the kitchen floor. You know, pretty good, right? Can't whine about that one. It was funny though, because then I ran, so, you know, I cleaned it up quick, and then I was like, oh well, I opened the dishwasher. It was nice and sparkly clean in there. I opened the dishwasher and I'm like, there's like suds everywhere in there. So I was like, well, I'll just run a quick rinse cycle, thinking that would help like dissipate the suds, because obviously the dishes were covered in suds yet, so they were clean, but they weren't, you know, they had soap on them. And so I was like, well, I'll just run a rinse cycle. So I ran the rinse cycle, and there were still suds when the rinse cycle was done. And I was like, I said, how much soap did you put in there? Well, we have soft water. And so he read, because on the cup it says fill to this line if you have soft water, fill to this line if you have hard water. Thank God we have soft water, because I don't want to know how many suds I would have had on my kitchen floor. I mean, there was a lot of water on the floor. I don't want to know how much would have been on the floor if we just had hard water. And no, I need a pinker pink. Okay, let's go back here. If you'd have, you know, yeah, it would have been. I can't even imagine. Okay, where do my markers go? We need a pinker pink. All right, let's go with RV 390. RV 390. I mean, we could do, that's like really bright pink, but let's try this one. So RV 390 is a rose pink. Oh yeah, I like that one better. I don't know if this one might be a little bit much for the cheek. I usually don't do a lot of cheek, but we'll do a little bit of cheek. All right, so to kind of mute that down a little bit, we'll go in with that buttercup yellow, and you could totally do the cheek color before you add in your brown face for the first time. I don't usually do cheeks, so that's why I didn't even think about it. But I'm just going over that area, so it's, I don't know, it's kind of like a brownish pink now. And then for the nose, usually I will bring in a black jelly glaze pen, just because it gives it a nice dark nose. But I just brought in the darkest brown for that one, which will work out just fine. So for this one, I have both yellow and blue out, because I hadn't decided if I want to do, I think I'll do the yellow, because since I'm not doing, and I'll do the blue for like the flooring or something. So for this one, I'm just going to come in and kind of do, because it's kind of at a swag angle, swag, I'll do my first layer here. And I'm going to kind of go in and do 3 layers on this one, because I kind of want to keep building up that color and extend it down a little bit more. And then for the last one, I'm going to flip it because I'm, you know, impatient. I'm just going to go from one side to the other in one fell swoop. So some of that area probably has like 4 layers on it. And then the center is just going to have that 1 layer on it. So it kind of gives the illusion of it's swaying. So, let's see how dark my blue is here. I just want to give them a little bit to stand on. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be, I just kind of want to come in here and go and just kind of give them a flooring. You don't have to do this. This is totally something that is a me thing. I like to give them some place to stand on, some grounding. Grounding is good. And at this point, you could definitely come in with your inks, do a little bit of ink blending, you know, kind of mask it and do some grass underneath there, or those types of things. You could definitely do some clouds in the background if you so choose. I think I'm just going to leave this one fairly simple today. Kind of just keeping it simple. So I'm going to zoom back out here. I think we're good there-ish. All right. And let's bring in this one, and then of course this one again. And we're going to do, this one has that cute banana paper I thought would be really cute behind it. And then I think the blue is going to be close enough here. That will do. I don't think the blueberries are going to work, but I think we'll do this as my background piece that's going to be back there. And then I can actually mat this one on that same one, hopefully. It might not be big enough. I might need to grab a second one. So let's cut this one down. It's not going to be big enough because it'll be exactly 2, right? Yeah. Oh, well, it'll be less than 2. So 5.5 by 4 1/4 for this one, because this is going to be my base piece. So that is my base. And then this one. So this one, let me grab the other one. We were at time anyway, so that worked out perfectly. Okay, so I just moved it up a little bit more so you can actually see the measurements. So the line that you cut here, so this cut line here, I don't want to get it too close, but this cut line here is 0. So that's your 0 on this particular cutter, right? So this inch here is going to be, you know, 1 inch. So then I have 5 inches on this side, right? So keep that in mind when you're trying to do this one for your cutter. The other one I could kind of, it was going to be close, and so it was a little bit easier. Do I want a white border or do I want a non-white border? Let's see here. So let's go, so 4 here is going to be 5 here. Does that make, I hope that makes sense. So if I'm looking at this measurement here, this is 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4 to this line here, add an inch is 5 on this one. So I'm just gonna go and pull this up here. And that's gonna give me a fairly straight rip line without trying to guess it. I will show you how I used to do it. And this one needs to be, I should have cut it a little bit bigger on the first cut. Shoot. Okay, so this one, let's go. This one, I just want enough on this side to kind of give me enough to grab onto. This probably wasn't quite enough to grab onto because it pulled for the side right away, but it's just going to have a little bit bigger of a cut line. Or a bigger, I should say, a bit more jaggedy of a rip line. Okay, this is when your measurement kind of really matters a little bit more. So at this point, this will be 5 inches would be right there, right? So I'm gonna have to make it a little bit shorter because I'm not gonna have enough to rip. That's why I said maybe, you know, do as I say, not as I do. We're learning as we go here. Me too. So this one will be end up being about 4 3/4, right? So this is 3 3/4. So this one right here is going to be 4 3/4. And this is going to rip just as good as the other one. So we're going to have some extra character. And just kind of pulling up. I don't want to be like straight against it because I do want it to have a little bit, you know, so you can tell that it's a ripped edge. Okay, so we have that one for the most part. So you see here where you're kind of getting your outline. Does that, I think you can see it better on the blue than you can on the gray. So that's kind of showing you how. Now, okay, so this side isn't exactly going to be level on there. You kind of have to eyeball it at this point. So if we were at 4 3/4, which is 3/4 of an inch smaller than our 5.5, so 4 1/4 would put us at about 3 1/2, which would make this one, I want it 2 1/2 because we're adding an inch on this side. I hope that makes sense. That does not look right. So 3. Well, no, you know what? Because I'm looking at this and not this. Okay. So here and here it looks like it's at 2 1/2, which is going to be 3 1/2 on this side. So, okay. So I should be good on my pull one. So I wanted to show you kind of, you know, we used to just do this, and you can totally do just that. It'll work. If you just want to make sure that your measurements are right, that's kind of what you can do. The other thing is cut your piece of paper down to 5 1/2 by 4 1/4 and just do a skinny pull on each side freehand, and that's fine. It might be a little bit more jaggedy. You might have, it's just more character. You can also go in with some ink and you can ink blend that if you so choose. I would probably do a gray on this, like a brown or a gray on that one, just to give it, you know, a little bit more definition if that's something that you want to do. All right, so now we have this one, and we have this one. And let's see here. I need my stamp set. All right, so for this one kind of has like the HB, happy birthday to you, HB to you. The for you is already angled. There are certain companies and stamp sets that will have that look for you already. But for this one, I'm just going to do it on a stamp block. You can definitely put this one back in your platform and line it up that way and do it this way. I'm going to just do, you know, we're gonna call this one good. Where's my black one? I just got done using it today. There's the Versa mark. Well, okay. I want the VersaFine on. Oh, there we go. The VersaFine Onyx Black Ink. It's the one that I usually go to if I'm going to do a, you know, a straight stamp with my sentiment, just because it's a pigment base, and so it just stamps better. So I just kind of, you can put your head over the top if you need to. That's usually how I do it. I just kind of line it up and pop it down, and there we go. So go bananas. I still see that, but do I want to? We could do, no, I'm not going to. Okay, I was trying to go minimum supplies today and go that route. Let's see if I have that. I think there's actually a gray pattern that goes with this one and not, I think there's that one. I was thinking I could do, but maybe I can do that one. I was trying not to grab more paper out today. I just need a little strip. I probably wouldn't even, I could probably even go with, you could go with that one back there if you wanted to. Let's just go with this one. And then I keep this one 1/2 inch. 3/4 of an inch. 3/4 of an inch. And I'll cut the rest off when we get that far. So let's start gluing down. So if you need your pattern back in here, let's see here. Okay. As I start to add glue onto the front side of my pretty pattern paper. So kind of center it the best you can, because obviously this one is not going to be exact because it's ripped. And let's go in with this one here. So I'm gonna run it all the way across, and then I'll just cut off, I'll snip off the end. You could definitely cut it down to 5 1/2 right away if you wanted to. I just, sometimes it's easier to go this way. I need to leave enough room. Center one there, and then just flipping it over and snipping the excess off, and then the go bananas. I would probably go in and add some clouds or something to it, just because it's a little on the plain white side, but this works just fine. So this image is a lot bigger than the last one that we used, so it covers a good amount or a good area on this one. And for the sentiment, so we have the go bananas on there. We really wouldn't even need to add a sentiment to it. We could also come in with, I was gonna say, if there was like just some little bananas on there, I might have colored and cut them out by hand and put them down there. That would have been cute. Accents would be cute to go down there. I'm trying to think if I have, you could definitely go with the sentiment. I just don't know if I want to, no one has more appeal than you do would work. It's your day to monkey around. So Go Bananas. I think that'll work on the inside. Happy birthday, little monkey. I don't know if I want to do a sentiment on this one. So what do I want to add for my little pieces? You don't need to put anything down there. That is fine just as is. Let's see. I don't know what I want to do. I really want a nanner. I really don't want a nanner, but you know, I want a nanner. For those that don't know, I'm technically allergic to bananas. That's why, one, I said I really want a nanner, but I really don't want a nanner. Yeah, that's what I meant. Anyways, back to my card. I mean, those would work. I could definitely just throw in some confettis. I don't know. I'm not feeling it. Anyways, so there's options there. I don't know. You could do buttons down there. Maybe some yellow buttons would be cute if you're giving it by hand. Buttons are bulky and they do not mail very well at all. The other thing you do is with a set like this, you wouldn't have to do, you know, that image. You could definitely do like this one and this one. You could make a little scene with them. You could just do the birthday cake, would be really cute on that one. I think I'm going to end up caving and doing a sentiment just because there's not a banana. If there was a banana that was like this one, just a banana, I could cut out 3 of them. I would definitely go with bananas down there because I think that would be adorable. Just, you know, 3 little accent pieces. That's why sometimes little stamps in a set are kind of nice because they work as filler. So I'm just going to go eyeball it. We did happy birthday little monkey on the bottom there. I think I have a couple of little birthday monkeys coming up, and so it's your day, so go bananas. I'm gonna throw that one there, and I could do the birthday cake on the inside, like off onto the corner down here, but I think this little monkey holding the banana is adorable, and so I think we're gonna do him. Now I like to either throw an image down here or over the top, sometimes in the center, and then mask it and put my sentiment through it, those types of things, but I think we're gonna go this route. And because I want to do this all in one fell swoop, we're going to bring in that stamp platform again, plus if it does not work out the first time, we can stamp it again. I will try to get better about bringing in my images for the inside of what I do on the insides. I don't always, and I am horrible if I don't do the inside of a card right away. It's very likely not going to get undone or get done, and then it's not going to get sent because, yeah. And a lot of times for the little image that I add, I like to do it in a gray ink or maybe a coordinating ink color on the outside. I would have probably done this one in brown just because I had the brown monkeys. I would have probably pulled in the brown for my stamped image, or done it in yellow and done it over the top, you know, like over the top here, so it's a lighter tone. But this is beautiful just as is as well. So just trying to give you a couple of tips there on what I like to do for the insides when I remember to do them. I'm trying to think if I finished off the other ones I showed you from last week. Okay, I'll bring them back. We're almost done. Alrighty. I will just pop that on the base here and then we are done. I still see that. So if you have a white jelly roll pen, this is kind of what it's, let me see, where is my, this is not the one I want, but it should work. Let me make sure it is. This one is a Reminisce one. It's okay, but this part comes undone all the time. Like it comes loose. I don't understand it, so it drives me nuts. But if you come in with that white jelly pen around the outside of the image, wherever you maybe went where you weren't supposed to, it'll mask it really well. So just make sure it's dry before you do that. We could definitely add a little bit of glitter on this. Maybe that's what this one needed, was just a little touch of glitter. So let's just do, whoops, that was a lot of glitter. So I'm just going to kind of pull this out. I'm not actually squeezing, I'm just using the tip to spread out that gob of glitter that I kind of got on there to start with. So I'm just gonna, I just did a little bit of glitter on the banner. I didn't cover up the whole banner, just a little bit. So there is my finished happy birthday little monkey card. So, and then it's your day to monkey around. So go bananas. So, and you could definitely come in and do a little bit of yellow on the banana would be cute, or color the hat if you wanted to color anything on that one. I would keep it super simple on the inside. And so that is our completed card for today. Let's see. This one you saw last week because we did that one. So let's see. Where's the other one? I did finish the insides. Okay. So here's this one. So this one I brought in earlier. So aging gracefully is an art. Aging disgracefully is bad. This is a blast. Happy birthday. So I had extra images because I had colored 2 sets and then I ended up only using 1 on this one. So I pulled them into the inside. So, you know, inside art. And then this one I only had 1 extra one. So I just popped it on top of my happy birthday sentiment and left it like that. So those are all some ideas to kind of tie in. I like to pull in the outside in when I remember to do it when I'm in the moment. If, you know, later on I don't always, because I'm not going to pull out my stamp set again to do the inside sentiment on a lot of things. And so that's why it's kind of good to get it done right away. But there you go. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Let me know down in the comments below. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment. All of those things help the channel to grow and other people to find said videos. So anyways, I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your day and keep getting inky. Bye.